Africa is shaken once again in an unusual and explosive interview. Burkina Faso's president, Captain Ibrahim Traore, sat face to face with RTB radio journalists answering the very question ordinary citizens have always dreamed of asking him. But here is the real question: what exactly did Captain Ibrahim Traore say that is making headlines everywhere right now? Stay with me because you are about to hear the untold truth about the interview that has become the talk of Africa, and this will leave you speechless. This is First Africa Voice, bold, fearless African. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. My name is Paul Lingua, the Africa orator. Now, let's delve into the story properly and break it down together. When Captain Ibrahim Traore walked into the studio of Radio and Television of Burkina Faso, the atmosphere was electric. Citizens across Burkina Faso, across the Sahel, and across Africa yearned to hear the leader, many now call the New Africa's revolutionary. The interview was hosted by journalist Chantel Nikiema, a respected face of RTB television. She was not afraid to ask the questions the people wanted answers to, and sitting across from her was the 36-year-old soldier turned president, calm, firm, and ready to speak directly to his people. The interview touched on social, economic, sovereignty, security, and assassination plot issues. Chantel Nikiema did not waste time. She went straight into the heart of what Burkina-based citizens wanted to know and began asking Captain Ibrahim Traore one question after the other. And here is the translated interview.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Bonjour, madame.
Good morning, madam.
Merci de vous prêter à ce.
Thank you for taking part in this exercise on Radio Burkina through the program Antenne Direct. Before receiving the first set of questions from the listeners, Your Excellency, this is the first time that you have spoken directly to all the Burkinabe through the airwaves of Radio Burkina. How do you feel about sharing this moment of direct dialogue with the Burkinabe people?
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Good morning, dear parents, dear brothers and sisters, listeners of Radio Burkina. Thank you, madam, for this opportunity that has once again been given to us to be able to communicate directly with the people. It is a real pleasure, and it is also a moment for me to be able to understand today, at the stage we are at, the current aspirations of the people through your channels, and to be able to readjust our program, if we can put it that way. So I say it's a great time of pleasure, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President, for those opening words.
Je voudrais savoir.
I would like to know, what is the morale of the troops standing against these attempts at destabilization?
Je dirais que le moral des troupes.
I would say that the morale of the troops is high, because committing to defend the homeland, you know, when you're a soldier, there's a natural state of mind that's there, within the environment, within the army. Getting up, grabbing your backpack, your weapon, and heading off to the front isn't something everyone can do. But generally, in a soldier's mind, when he leaves with pride. He knows what might happen, but he leaves with pride. And today, with what we've put in place, what we're trying to do as an effort through supporting the people, many soldiers are truly proud to be soldiers. That's why they give their heart and soul. And with all the support that people are also giving them, I think that can only boost morale. It's true that these destabilizing situations don't affect them, but it gives them even more courage to fight. They understand better why they must fight for their homeland. They know very well that it's not for nothing that they're trying to destabilize us. Even though we were able to change the situation in terms of equipment, recruitment, and training in a short period of time, if people continue to try to destabilize us, it gives the military more arguments to boost their morale and fight.
Undoubtedly, Captain Ibrahim Traore did not dodge the questions. He admitted the challenges openly, but his response was sharp and firm. These words hit deep. But the interview did not stop there. RTB Radio also had its moment with journalist Herve Kabore stepping in. He came armed with questions directly sent by the public.
We welcome Herve Kabore, who will give us his first questions.
Merci Chantel Nikiema.
Thank you, Chantel Nikiema. Your Excellency, Mr. President, the first question comes from Sector 16 of Ouagadougou. Stefan Kire wants to know how you experienced the multiple attempts at destabilization with your assassination in mind. The second question is Mrs. Kone from Bobo Dioulasso. She wants to know what will happen to the plotters. And then, still in Bobo Dioulasso, it is Daniel Sanu who asks, has an arrest warrant been issued against the destabilizers and their accomplices? Eugene Kambire from Batier in Numbiel would like to know what really happened in Barcelo. This is also the question of Suleiman Owadiarogo Akaya in the Center North, Salifu Sanu from Bobo Dioulasso. And then the last question is from Jean Ilbudo from Ouagadougou. He would like to have your reaction to the political orientation speech of the late Captain Thomas Sankara in the midst of the celebration of the National Days of Patriotic Commitment and Citizen Participation. How important is the DOP for you when we see that its content is still relevant? Thank you.
Merci Herve Kabore.
Thank you, Herve Kabore, for this first series of questions from the listeners. Mr. President, you have just heard the concerns of the listeners, which revolve around the desire for destabilization, and in particular with the attack on Barcelo. Listeners would like to know, how did you experience these situations?
Avant de nous engager,
Before embarking on this mission, I think that there are a number of risks that we must measure and accept to assume. And among these risks, there is the fact of not succeeding in the mission for which we had come. So, when we come, it's either it goes or it breaks. Thank God we were able to succeed in the mission to be able to imprint our vision of things on our country. After that, the other risk is to accept to give up everything. So, as a young person, you can't be there therefore at the top of the state and maybe want to find myself under mango trees eating suambala like the others. That is to say, to accept to forget one's youth, to accept to forget life and to devote oneself entirely to one's country. One of the risks is this situation we are experiencing, destabilization. Because if you want to right the ship of such a country, inevitably, you are obliged to crack down, and by cracking down to straighten out, you create internal and external enemies. So we have to expect these situations of destabilization, assassination, and everything, because we have affected the interests of many people. So there is social inequality. There is corruption, there is poor management of public affairs. If we try to rectify all this, inevitably, we will affect the individual interests of certain people. And these people very often are rich, have money, and use this to manipulate, often people poorer than them, to alienate us. In fact, that's internal. And these same people do not hesitate to coalesce with the imperialist forces that spend their time only annoying us, impoverishing us. The other point is these external forces. There are many countries today that we have on our backs, and we have no choice. We have to do it. There you go. If we want our homeland to be independent, if we want our sovereignty, if we want the Burkinabe to have enough to eat, if we want our children to go to school without paying a franc, if we want malaria, which is one of the most widespread diseases in Burkina Faso, to be treated in the future, if we want to cure our population of certain ills at 0 francs, certain dreams that we have, but we will have to make a lot of concessions. We will have to prevent certain powers from making us their enemies. So we are prepared for these situations. We experience them as normal. In fact, it doesn't shake us. It doesn't scare us. It still gives us the courage to move forward, because through these events we know that the guideline we have chosen is the best line for our homeland, for our people. So we live it like that. And the plotters, currently, we have spent 2 years raising awareness, talking, warning. People thought that we were warning too much, but it was necessary for the Burkinabe to see for themselves how far some Burkinabe can go against the homeland. If we had started to crack down in a certain way from the beginning, it is not obvious that you yourselves would understand us. Captain Thomas Sankara was misunderstood at some point, perhaps because they started strong. But it was necessary to let the people see, to understand what these plotters are, to communicate with the people. Today I think people have understood a lot.
D'accord. L'auditeur de Bobo Dioulasso.
All right. The listener of Bobo Dioulasso would like to know what is the fate of these plotters.
Comme nous l'avons dit, à partir de cette...
As we said, from this point on, I am not going to go into details. Everyone will take responsibility. All right, if someone takes steps like that, well, they assume all the consequences. We are no longer going to advise anyone or, well, warn anyone again.
Let's deal with the case of Barcelo. There is a listener who would like to know what really happened in Barcelo.
Barcelo. I'm not going to go into details either, but Barcelo, I think I was personally targeted. Because Barcelo and there is a story. Barcelo and the situation in the country have a history in June 2022. You may be able to find out more on site in Barcelo afterwards. Well, I defied a lot of orders to intervene so that Barcelo wouldn't fall. And so, I sacrificed a lot of things anyway to Barcelo. This is the place for me to thank many people who supported us in our maneuver. And I think they targeted Barcelo because it was going to affect me. That's the goal. I don't want to go into certain details, but maybe one day we'll have the opportunity to talk about it.
All right, so your reaction to the political orientation speech of the late Captain Thomas Sankara, is this a concern of Jean Ilbudo from Ouagadougou?
C'est vrai, nous avons...
It's true. We have also chosen the date of October 2nd for the launch of the Patriotic Days of Patriotic Commitment. This is precisely to corroborate with the DOPs, because this discourse is a reference point. And I think that some countries far from our sub-region have used this frame of reference to develop, and they make us understand this, because they have drawn a lot of things from this discourse. And we are inspired by this news, and we adapt it to the context as well. There are certain things in his time, in 83, that can no longer be done today, but we are adapting them as we go along. Thomas Sankara was too far ahead of his time, and I think that all this means that he was not understood, because he saw things that others did not have the opportunity to see. His vision was much further ahead. But today we realize that we should have. Every time, it's questions like this that we ask ourselves, shouldn't we have been? Shouldn't people have done it? But hey, it's already over. But I think it's a topical speech. It's the same vision for the total sovereignty of our country, and I think we have to follow this momentum.
Imagine it, ordinary farmers, teachers, market women, and young Burkinabés sending their questions straight to the president. And Traore, instead of hiding behind protocol, answered them one by one. This was the moment many watching felt chills. It wasn't just politics, it was a leader talking straight to his people's hearts. What does this mean for Africa? That RTB interview with Captain Ibrahim Traore is bigger than Burkina Faso. It is a statement to Africa and the world, and here is what it means for the continent. 1. A new style of leadership. For decades, many African leaders have avoided raw, unscripted conversation with their people. Traore's interview broke that pattern. Sitting face to face with journalists who ask direct, uncomfortable questions and answering them without fear signals a shift towards transparency and direct communication. It challenges other African leaders to engage more openly with citizens rather than hiding behind press releases. 2. Sovereignty as a continental theme. His bold words on security and foreign influence resonate far beyond Burkina Faso. By openly linking terrorism to the rich, foreign manipulation, and rejecting dependency, Traore revived the spirit of sovereignty that Thomas Sankara once carried. For Africa, it is a reminder that independence is not just about flags and anthems. It is about control of resources, decisions, and security. 3. Inspiring the youth. Traore is only 36 years old. For millions of young Africans, he represents proof that youthful leadership is possible. This interview showed that young leaders can be firm, visionary, and unapologetically African in their worldview. It may fuel a wave of youth movement demanding similar leadership in other countries. 4. The power of public accountability. By responding to questions gathered directly from the people via RTB radio. In Africa, where distrust of leadership is high, they set a model. Leaders must listen, leaders must answer. If more African governments adopt this thought, public trust could be rebuilt. 5. Pressure on other leaders. Every African president who watched that interview felt the weight. Citizens across the continent are now asking, why can Traore answer questions honestly, but our leaders cannot? This creates pressure for other heads of state to step out of their comfort zone and connect with their people. 6. A new geopolitical voice. It means Africa can have leaders who negotiate on equal terms with global powers instead of accepting dictated conditions. In summary, this interview encounter means Africa is witnessing a paradigm shift in leadership. It signals transparency, sovereignty, youth empowerment, and a demand for accountability. If echoed across the continent, it could mark the beginning of a new African political culture, one where leaders are not untouchable elites, but servants of the people. By the end of the interview, one thing was clear. Captain Ibrahim Traore is not just a soldier president, he is positioning himself as a symbol of resistance and hope for a continent tired of exploitation and empty promises. The citizens, through Chantel Nikiema and Herve Kabore, asked the tough questions, and Traore, instead of hiding, gave answers that millions of Burkinabe and Africans have been waiting to hear for years. But now, the question is not just about Burkina Faso. The question is, will other African leaders have the courage to speak with the same honesty? Or will Captain Ibrahim Traore stand alone in this fight for sovereignty? What do you think of President Traore's powerful statement? Do you believe Burkina Faso is truly on the path of sovereignty, or will foreign powers try to destabilize it? Drop your thought in the comment section below, because I do know that far as there are more men on earth, there are more opinions. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, where we uncover the truth one story at a time, because in today's Africa, silence is no longer an option. Well, the dew of the day has crept upon our thoughts, and nature must obey its necessity. Here is where we bring down the curtains. Until we meet again, my name is Paul Lingua, the Africa Orator.